And this is how you play win-win when you're selling to someone. If they're like at a place where you realize you're way above them and they're feeling down or bad, you don't have to continue to be that person. You can bring yourself and help them cross that barrier of fear, as you said, terror in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we want to do in every sale is people usually have some type of level of fear. The challenge that people don't do or do very well is they try to move them from fear to the sale. So move them from fear to yes. And what they're forgetting is people need to go to neutral first. It's no different than if our car was in reverse and we just tried to slam it into forward gear, right? The car will jerk. Sometimes the car will, the engine will go out and sputter or whatever. But if we take it and go for reverse and then put it into neutral, let it get into neutral and then into drive, that car will move very quickly, in the favor without having all the stress. And so that's where you play win-win. You're moving them from fear to yes through a neutral state, if and only if it's right for them and for you.
What is the neutral state? What does that look like?
So let's say somebody throws an objection, because a lot of times people, get this through an objection, right? What is an objection? It's fear. Yeah. I feel uncomfortable with something. I'm not really moving forward with this because I feel some level of discomfort. Okay. So how do we get them from that discomfort level to the neutral place? Let's say they say something like, I can't afford this, right? That's something like that. Well, the next question out of your mouth shouldn't be, well, let's figure out how you can afford it. Because you're trying to move them right to a yes. Mm. So we want to know what I can't afford it really means. Because the reality is, especially when you're selling business to business, very few businesses have budgeted for us to walk through their door and go, oh my God, yeah, I've been waiting for you for 16 years. I've had this budget sitting here. It's very unlikely that happens.
Right?
It's usually like, oh, geez, wow, this is really interesting. This will solve it. My gosh, we got to figure out how to appropriate a budget for it. So you'll get the I can't afford it. But the reality is that may not be the real issue. In most cases, it's not. The question is, what are they in fear about? They're in fear about they can't see how they can do this without it creating some stress of something or some other thing.
Exactly.
So we want to get them to whatever that stress is and then bring that stress to a place where it's like, okay, I'm not so stressed out about it anymore. That's neutral.
That's neutral. Yeah. And the objections can be multiple tiered. It could be the money, but it also could be themselves and not trusting themselves to actually do the work. So
that could be too.
That's the thing. It may not be a money issue. It may be like, I've already been down this road. I've already paid money to other people. What makes you think that you can help me when all the others couldn't?
Exactly. And so we then have to go into that and say, well, tell me what happened with those other people. And they'll tell you this happened and that happened and this happened, right? And so what you want to do is get curious and listen, because like when somebody says, I've done this before 15 times, it never worked out. In my brain, I question, okay, why? Right? So I want to know why it didn't work out. I don't want to sell them anything, because if I sell them something and they won't follow through, I'm just the now number 16, in the list, and they're not going to get results. So we ask, what happened, and a lot of times what you'll start to hear is patterns. So they'll start to say, well, this was just so overwhelming. This was just so overwhelming. It was just so over my head. Yeah. Or they crammed, 6 weeks worth of work into 1 hour, right? That type of thing. If you hear that over and over and over, then what you're doing is you're saying, listen, I'm hearing consistent theme that they crammed 6 weeks worth into an hour. Is that correct? And they go, yeah, that's it. Now you could do anything. You go, well, why in the world would anybody do that?
Right.
Right. You could do that. Right. Or you could say something like, well, geez, fantastic. Thanks. We got to this point. We don't do that. Let me show you what we do, right? And we could go there because you got them now calmed down enough. Remember, emotion is just energy in motion. It's an emotion, so an objection is an emotion. And so what we want to do is take that emotion, settle it down, get it to neutral so that we can, talk about it. And then, why would anybody do that? I don't know. I wouldn't know either. That seems like it would overload anybody, wouldn't it not? Yes. Well, you know what? We don't do that here. You want to know why? Yeah, I'd really like to know why. Here's our methodology and the reason why it won't happen here. How do you feel about this right now? I feel pretty comfortable, right? That's where you want to get them to. Then maybe we progress to the next stage. It's like dancing.
Yeah.
Julie, if I kept stepping on your feet, you're going to kick me eventually. You know what I mean? And so, I've got to learn not to step on your feet and get it to neutral where you feel comfortable dancing with me. You never take another dance.
It sounds like coaching to me. I mean, that's what the process that you just took me through is very much what I do as a coach. And
yes,
one of the things that we learn in coaching is called dancing in the moment. We actually are taught to how to do that with our clients. And so it's very interesting how some of these sales tactics resemble coaching. And so, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Will, the difference between coaching and selling is that in coaching, we're going to continually try to improve their condition. In selling, we're trying to improve their conditioning, but there has to be an exchange of value. In coaching, you've already got the exchange of value, right? So what I see people make a mistake in doing is just consistently coach, and then people don't buy. So we have to not just coach them, we have to coach them through the process where there's an exchange in value created that they want to now part with remuneration in some capacity. Yeah. And that's the difference in what you and I are talking about. So I wanted to point that out for a lot of people because a lot of people think, oh, I just coach, but they don't buy.
That's great.